Hello, everybody. Welcome into Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. It has been a while, hasn't it? I have been on vacation. I am so glad to be back with you guys. We have a big show. We're going to cover a lot of things, including some NFL news. We're going to start off with that. G- uh, Jordan Love, has come out and said that he is not going to practice with the team until he gets a brand new contract. We'll talk about what kind of contract he can expect to get, as well as if he deserves to get another contract, his whole situation with the Packers right now. And then we're going to go into some more quarterback conversations in the second segment. We're going to go over the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL that need to have a great season. They're in a prove it year. This is kind of do or die for them. We're going to talk about those top 5 guys and give you a ranking. Then we're going to move into some basketball talk. Team USA is struggling a little bit. Actually, currently with 2 minutes left to go in a game with Germany, they are only up 3. They were losing heading into that into the fourth quarter here, and they just came off a 1-point win against South Sudan, a team with no NBA players. We will talk about what that game means, what this current game going on right now between the U.S. and Germany means as the U.S. prepares for the Olympics right around the corner. And then we're going to close off our show with baseball. The All-Star break is gone. It has come and gone. And now we're going to talk about some second half predictions, right? We have a much clearer view of what the MLB landscape is looking like. We know we have a much better idea of how rosters are. We're going to save some deadline talk for later on in the week, as that is just 8 days away from now. The MLB trade deadline is. So that's going to start to ramp up more and more. But we're going to do some AL and NL predictions. So stick around for all of that. But remember, before we get into the Jordan Love situation, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Leave a tip or donation with a message in it. That message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go and throw it in the chat. Go and throw it in the comments. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate all of you guys for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Monday afternoon. I hope everybody had a great weekend. But like I was saying, we are going to start off our show today in the NFL. Up north with the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love. Jordan Love obviously is a very interesting case when it comes to quarterbacks, right? He comes in and he's drafted in the first round. Aaron Rodgers, future Hall of Fame quarterback, is still there. He wasn't happy. It eventually drives Aaron Rodgers and the Packers apart. You can draw similarities to when Aaron Rodgers himself was drafted and they had, future Hall of Famer Brett Favre on the roster. So, this is something that the Packers do, and so far it seems like it's worked. In one full season of action, Jordan Love has been phenomenal, right? You want to talk about a great quarterback. You look at his stats from last season. Again, in his first full season at starting quarterback, right? This first time we've seen him play a full season. He was drafted back in 2020, so 4 years in, he finally gets his shot. He throws for 4,100 yards, 32 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, right? He has a top 10 QBR. He has the 7th most passing yards, the 2nd most passing touchdowns. He is coming off a phenomenal year, right? And now he wants to get paid. If you remember back before the season started last year, he signed a cheap 2-year extension, gave the Packers a little more leeway if they wanted to see more from him this year. But it's a team-friendly deal. He's making $13 million a year right now as a 2-year extension. That is set to expire after this season. Jordan Love is looking to get an extension. And all the reports out of Packers training camp are saying, yes, absolutely, we're here to give him an extension. And as of right now, where it stands, there's no reason for anyone. There's no reason for anyone in the Packers or anyone in Jordan Love's side to think that they shouldn't get this deal done, right? Because look at what he did last season. Look at what he did last season, right? He was statistically up there with literally every other quarterback in the league. After a slow start, he really turned it around. We saw what he did in the playoffs against a good secondary in the Cowboys, absolutely demolishing them there. It was just a great performance. He showed up in the biggest moments, and he played great. He played great football. Now, people are putting him up in top 10 conversations, and we can have that conversation. I personally do not think that Jordan Love is a top 10 quarterback yet. 1 year in, one season in, things can change, right? But we're looking at some of these guys that probably are at around the same level as him that have gotten paid this offseason, right? You in recent memory, you have Trevor Lawrence becoming the tied for the highest paid quarterback in the NFL at 55 year, right? You have Jared Goff, who was paid $53 million a year earlier this season, earlier this offseason, in a contract extension with the Lions, right? He's kind of in that same area. Now, I'd put Jordan Love personally in between those two guys. I think he's better than Jared Goff, worse than Trevor Lawrence. The question is he going to fetch $50 million? And we've talked a lot about this, right? How I think we're starting to get to the upper limits of what teams are comfortable just saying, whatever, he's a quarterback, throw all the money at him. 50 million, 60 million. I think we're starting to get to that limit, that point where these teams are starting to say, hey, is it really worth it to give this guy that much money? Does he need market resetting money? And if you're going to pay Jordan Love, which I think they should, you have to really, really think, does he deserve $50 million? And you're looking at his numbers from last season, and again, he proved it last year, right? He did. He did a great job. I want to see more. And I know they need to get this deal done before then because you don't want him hitting free agency. That's just going to drive his price up more, as well as waiting. More quarterbacks will sign again. That'll just drive his price up more. That is not what you want if you are the Packers. This is a deal you kind of have to bite the bullet, right? And he's a guy that's going to join that $50 million club. Right now, there's just, you know, 7 quarterbacks that are a part of that. Trevor Lawrence, we just touched on. Joe Burrow, who had that largest contract that Trevor Lawrence tied. Jared Goff, who signed this offseason. Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts, right? Then you get into the 40s. And if I was paying him by his value, right? Obviously quarterbacks get that quarterback tax. You're not re-signing a quarterback for, or at least a top quarterback for less than $40 million, right? No top quarterback is going to be like, hey, Daniel Jones got $40 million. I'm going to take less than him. That's going to be like the base, right? Of what you're going to expect out of as a quarterback that you're going to pay, right? $40 million. And that's fine, right? Jordan Love is a guy that I think could probably fetch low 50s if he sets that new contract, if he breaks that Trevor Lawrence contract, that Joe Burrow contract, that's when I start to have questions. This is not a guy that I think deserves to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Now, can he develop into a guy that does deserve to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL? Absolutely he can. And like he proved last season, he still has a lot to grow, and he was still improving over the year. So you do want to lock him down now. I think this deal is going to come in around 50. Somewhere around Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson kind of money. Both of the 51, 52, Justin Herbert, 52 and a half. If I had to guess, he's going to get more than Jared Goff, but I don't know if he's going to get as much as Trevor Lawrence. Now, at this point, we're splitting hairs, right? We're talking between 53 and 55 million, right? At that point, hey, what's an extra million every year, right? That's probably what the agents are saying. What are you going to do with that extra million? That's not even that's barely the vet minimum. Who are you going to sign at that point? But 54 to 56, maybe he resets this market. It's going to be weird if Jordan Love resets that market. And all these other quarterbacks are waiting for him to do it, right? All reports say that they're close to getting it done. GM Brian Gutekunst of the Green Bay Packers has said, "Hey, we're not too worried. He's still at camp. He's just not practicing." And they say they're close on getting a deal done. So I do expect this deal to get done before the season starts. This isn't going to be that big of a story, but I do think that he might reset the market, which is kind of crazy. And we'll get into the implications of that if he does end up resetting the market. But if I'm the Packers, I'm sitting at around 50. maybe they can get just because it's only one season. And I know, and I'm not going to give him that Patrick Mahomes 10-year contract. I'm going to give him, something around 4 years, 4 years, 50 million with an out after 2 years. Front load that guaranteed money, make it something along those lines. Yeah. 4 years, 220, $54 million a year, front load that. That should be enough. He has all the guaranteed money he needs, over 100 million guaranteed there. And the Packers have an out if he ends up regressing, because we've only seen one season of this, so we have no idea what we really are going to see out of Jordan Love. It's going to be interesting. I do think he deserves to get paid though, and at the end of the day, he's probably going to end up resetting the market, which out of all the quarterbacks that could have reset the market this offseason, uh, Kirk Cousins, Kirk Cousins, Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, all these guys that signed contracts, big contracts, right? Throw Baker Mayfield in that mix as well, I guess. This is him and Trevor Lawrence are the guys that I can understand resetting the market. Maybe Tua if he signs, but that's a whole nother story. We'll actually get into some more quarterback talk, Tua as well. We're going to talk about, in the next segment, the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL that need to perform next season. It's a prove-it year for them. It's a do-or-die season. If they don't, they're all but out of the NFL at this point. Maybe they get a backup role somewhere, but this is the year they have to prove to everyone that they belong as a starter. They belong in the NFL as one of those top 32 guys. So stick around for that. We did a top 5 list here. Again, I appreciate everybody. Well, it's been a while, but we'll be right back here on Sports by GSMC Podcast Network.